Hello, my name is Carina, and in this podcast, Break Fear, Find Freedom, I have conversations with people just like you who have broken their fear and found their freedom, whatever that may be. And shows you how to do the same. So sit back, relax, grab your coffee or your running shoes, whatever makes you happy, and let the fun begin. Oh, by the way, come take my hand and let's go. The door's opening now. Hello, everybody. On today's episode, we are talking about fear and procrastination. It's just me and you today, no guest. So, on that note, let me ask you a question. What are you afraid of? Why do you procrastinate? And what is the price of procrastination? So those are a few questions we will be chatting about today. But first, let me talk about my thoughts and a little story. Once upon a time, there was a princess who loved writing. She loved it. She lost herself in her stories and her journaling. And when she came out, she was a different person, and she felt like she could cope with the world and she could start new adventures without fear. But yet, she kept procrastinating to write. She kept putting it off. This made her anxious. She didn't sleep at night. She became more afraid, but yet she still did it. Why did she do that? What was she doing, and what was causing her to procrastinate on something that she loved so much and that made such a difference in her life? Now that is a very good question. There's so much research on procrastination and so many causes, supposedly causes. And possibly for me, fear would be the basis of it. Fear of success, fear of failure, fear of clarity, fear of overwhelm, fear of fear, or just not even knowing what you're afraid of. But probably the best place to start would be for you to think about what makes you procrastinate. Why are you not doing that task, that particular task? And why are you waiting for the last second to do it? And then you stress about it so much before the time. And how many times have you not finished your task by deadline because you procrastinated? And why do you do that? Why do you beat yourself up so much, but you still procrastinate the next time? I know, because that's exactly what I've been doing for so many years, until now. So, before I tell you how I overcame my chronic procrastination, I'd like to tell you another little story about Jane and Jack. Now, Jane was a student at a famous university, whichever one, it doesn't really matter. And she was studying psychology. She was really loving her psychology. And of course, all sorts of wonderful subjects and biology and sciences and all sorts of other subjects, just to enhance her beautiful adventure at this university. And she had a friend called Jack. Now, Jack was a special kind of friend because Jack was a vampire. Yes, you heard me right. Jack was a vampire, and Jack just loved blood. But he was a very special vampire because he could walk around during the day as well. So he was a day walker as well. He particularly loved the nighttime, and he loved preying on his people. He loved preying on people and sucking their blood. But he did that during the day as well. Not every day. Some days were really, really bad. He just craved blood so much. And some nights were even worse. And some nights Jill would stay up all night because of Jack's terrible thirst. Until one day, Jill decided. She made a decision. She said, enough is enough is enough. I have made my decision and I'm sticking to my decision. And she walked away from Jack. And soon she found that her anxiety had dissipated. She was sleeping better at night. She was feeling happier. Her self-esteem had increased for sure. And she was making more friends. She was more open and more communicative because she had more energy. Her depression had lifted too. She was a whole different person. People started to recognize it too. And that was very exciting. One of the exciting things for Jill was that her grades started to increase. She was getting better and better grades, and she had much more time on her hands. She suddenly realized that she wasn't overwhelmed anymore. She had more time, so she could take on, read more and write more and enjoy in life and have more adventures. She had changed her life completely. And Jack, now if you recognize the story, you'll see that Jill was really feeling depressed, overwhelmed, lack of confidence, afraid, very, very, very afraid. Afraid of everything. Afraid of success, afraid of failure, afraid of life, afraid of everything. Until she made a decision. And her decision was enough is enough is enough is enough. I am not doing this anymore. Jill realized that her procrastination in the form of Jack was really a vampire, stealing energy from her continually. As she procrastinated, her energy dissipated. Her confidence dropped. Her grades dropped. And she felt terrible about herself and life. For one simple procrastination, like one Jack, just drew the blood from her and her energy, causing endless nights of anxiety. And Jack? Well, Jack was hiding, ready to pounce at any second. He was hiding behind the couch, behind the TV, inside the computer, and sometimes, most of the times, inside the smartphone, just waiting for the opportunity to come out and enjoy his energy again. He was waiting for Jill to just lose one moment of her awareness. Just stop for one moment, and he would be ready. he was ready to do his vampire thing of stealing blood and energy. But most of all, he was ready to sprinkle fear and overwhelm, lack of clarity and distraction, mostly distraction. Fear of success, fear of failure, no organization, no goals, too big goals, elephant, health, lack of sleep. That was his favorite. And anxiety. He was ready to sprinkle anxiety into her plot. Depression. And most of all, fear of success, of failure. And Jill was totally unaware of this. She was so excited. She was just living a great, wonderful life. Just moving through all her adventures. Procrastination was far from her mind for this moment. But she didn't know what was waiting and lurking underneath her bed or inside her laptop and inside her smartphone. How could she know? She had gotten rid of Jack, right? Jack the vampire, Jack the procrastination vampire, or so she thought. For one day, she wakes up in the middle of the night, sweat pouring on her body. She is extremely anxious, and as she opens her eyes, there he is, Jack, the vampire. Procrastination, staring at her, sniggering, ready to pounce. She can run, but she can't hide unless she does the task that she procrastinated. After so long, she fell off the bus and fell into Jack's lair of procrastination. What happened to Jill to make her fall back into the procrastination trap once more? What do you think happened to Jill? She could have overbooked herself, become so overwhelmed, and lost her vision, not following her own true path anymore. Or she was afraid again of failure, of success, and maybe she just lost her way, whatever the reasons were. Then Jill saw Jack, and she knew what to do. Now listen to the next installment next week, so you too can discover what Jill did. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next week. Remember, try not to procrastinate. In fact, don't procrastinate, but we will see you next week. Looking forward to it. Bye. Thank you for listening, and thank you for listening right to the end. Now, if you want to know more about breaking fear and if it's keeping you stuck, check out the quiz. The details are below. Subscribe so you can hear some more of this delicious conversations. And then watch out for my book, The Clank of Chains, which is coming out very soon. Thank you again for being here, and we will see you next time. Bye.